Last month, Yajaira Saavedra was arrested at her family restaurant La Morada, located in Mount Haven. Yajaira was released hours after police determined she had not committed a crime. What exactly happened that day? And she's going to share a little bit of her story, and we thank her for joining us here. Yajaira, thank you so much for being here with us. So we've heard the story; it's been across the news, but thank you for coming and having the opportunity to share here with us in studio. So let's walk back from it. You're here at the restaurant,
Sure.
and you're at the restaurant. What happens?
So I want to start off by announcing something more important than the president's speech, which is free 21 Savage. And I'm mentioning this because it's really related to my story, in which people of color, brown and black folks, are always racially targeted by the NYPD and ICE alike. They both operate in similar strategies and tactics. Why am I saying this? I was recording what I felt like it was an unjust arrest happening in front of my restaurant. It was a neighbor. I don't know his name. I don't know anything about it. But as a responsible neighbor, I started recording the arrest. So I didn't know at that time there were undercover cops inside the restaurant, inside my workplace, inside my restaurant, my family-owned restaurant. And then they told me to stop recording. They asked my brother to tell me to stop recording. And honestly, I just saw my brother arguing with what I thought was a customer. And then as I approached him, the rowdy customer, I really thought that he was just upset that we didn't have avocado toast because of the gentrification that's going on in Mount Haven. So I was like, okay, let me deal with this. And next thing he knows, he's like, well, I asked your brother to serve me a glass of water. Really commandeering, really high testosterone levels and all of that bravado that's implied with somebody with a shield, with a badge. So I asked him, and he told me that there was an undercover investigation going on, that we had to close down the restaurant, not let anybody out. So I asked him to see a warrant. He said, I don't have a warrant, but I have a badge and a gun. And he flashed his gun. And if you don't do as I say, I'm going to flip the restaurant around. At that point, I just told him that I was the owner and he had no right to be in there. So I told him to leave. So the other undercover cops that were sitting down, also acting like customers, got up and told me that they were also undercover cops. And I told them that they could leave too. Then shortly after, one of the rowdy undercover cop, who I thought was going to order avocado toast, came in with a bunch of his other gang members and arrested me. I'm calling them gangs because I feel like the NYPD, that's what they do to our neighborhood. And we could see that more clearly now with the mass gentrification, which produces mass policing.
So when they arrested you, what did they say? Did they give you a reason?
They said that they were afraid that I was recording the undercover detectives, and that if I showed the video, they were scared of the undercover detective life. So it was more of like a strategy, I guess, or I don't know, whatever their reason is, which I think that even that it doesn't make sense, simply because in a press statement, one of the officers stated the gender of the undercover cops, and I have so far withheld from pronouncing the genders simply because I care about the safety. I take safety into great precautions and great matters.
So they come into the restaurant, they put you in custody.
They put me in cuffs.
Mm-hmm.
I still have the marks of the cuffs.
Mm-hmm. And how long did they keep you?
It felt like an eternity, but it was a couple of hours thanks to the community members who mobilized right away and who packed the courtroom. And I think that's why we should always be protective of our community members. We should always defend our hood and be proud of our hood, right? So we have small businesses already, from gentrifiers, from Rubenstein, from Majora Carter. It's the Bronx event that is displacing our neighbors who are going to be there defending us like they were showing up there for me. There is a community at stake right now.
Now, your restaurant's been there for more than a decade, and, is very well known in the community.
Sure.
Have you ever had any incidents like this before?
La Morada, that's located in 308 Willis, is well known for its activism, both politically in the immigrant world, nationally as well as statewide. We have done a lot of activism work, the Dream 9 being one of the biggest, in which my brother self-deported and infiltrated a detention center. So we've been around, and we've also gotten, I will say, one of the highest awards in the whole Mount Haven district, in which we've gotten the Michelin Bib Award. We've gotten awards from Bloomberg Magazine, from the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, you name them. We've always had that recognition. So the La Morada is well known. And
you feel, and so you definitely feel as though you were targeted.
I feel that as a brown woman, as a person of color, we are always racially targeted, and we could see that through statistics such as the one published by the the New York New York LCU. Yeah, sorry,
No
I'm
problem.
a little bit nervous. In which, like, it stated that nearly the double of people of color are arrested compared to their white counterparts, right? We could see it how folks are always getting arrested for minor violence, minor crimes such as like weed, but you go to Central Park, Washington Square Park, and you see all these white people doing the same thing with open cans of beers and not getting bothered whatsoever.
So you have a rally coming up?
Yes.
And I want you to talk about that.
Sure. So we're having a press conference today, an open mic press conference, meaning that anybody who has gotten unfairly arrested by the NYPD or harassed is open. The mic is yours, right? The floor is yours, because this is not only my story; it's my neighborhood story, and it's going to be at 5:30 in front of the Lincoln Hospital main entrance. And yes, the Lincoln Hospital, it's notoriously known for the lack of funding that's receiving, which is really unfair compared to the multi-million-dollar precinct that's being built, in the 149th Street for the 40th precinct. So they're getting awarded instead of held accountable for all their injustice. So after the press conference, there's going to be an NYPD Community Council meeting at 6:30, room 4, inside the Lincoln Hospital.
Before I leave and let you go,
Sure.
Any fear now that you've been arrested, incarcerated, right? You're putting together this rally.
Sure.
You seem even right today a little shook. Any fear going into today?
So when my brother was arrested, when he self-deported to infiltrate a detention center, he stated, "There is no fear in perfect love." And that is what's motivating me right now, the fact that I love my community and the fact that I wanted to stay so my niece could grow up and see how beautiful it is.
Yajaira Saavedra, thank you so much for coming and sharing with us, and best wishes to you. Of course, we're going to continue to follow your story. Thank you for coming here and sharing it with us here on Open.
Thank you for listening.
All righty. Listen, we're going to take a quick break. We do have more shows. Stay with us. We got more Open coming up right after this.